All right, let's talk about dreams. You ever have one that just felt a little too real? Like you were really there? Well, what if I told you that for decades, some of the world's top scientists, and yeah, even the CIA, were totally obsessed with the idea that our dreams could actually predict the future. And they didn't just talk about it, they ran secret experiments to try and prove it. I mean, it's a massive question, right? Can dreams really predict the future? It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. But the story behind the people who took this incredibly seriously, wow, it's one of the most fascinating and, frankly, hidden chapters of modern history. So today, we're going to look at some declassified documents, some pioneering research, and see just how deep this rabbit hole really goes. Okay, let's start with a story that is just impossible to forget. We're talking about the band Lynyrd Skynyrd. 2 nights before that tragic 1977 plane crash that devastated the band, their backing vocalist, JoJo Billingsley, had this incredibly vivid nightmare. I mean, she saw everything. She frantically called the band, begging them not to get on that plane. They actually took a vote and decided, okay, this will be our last flight on this specific aircraft. And tragically, it was. And this isn't just a modern thing. Think about Abraham Lincoln. Just days before he was assassinated, he told his wife about this really disturbing dream he had. He said he was walking through the White House and saw a coffin in the East Room surrounded by all these mourners. And when he asked a soldier who had died, the soldier gave him this chilling reply. The president was killed by an assassin. I mean, those are some powerful stories, right? But anecdotes aren't exactly scientific proof. And that's why back in the 1960s, a group of really serious researchers decided it was time to move this whole thing out of the realm of spooky stories and into the lab. So you've got the Maimonides Medical Center in Brooklyn. Here, a team led by Montague Ullman and Stanley Krippner set up what was basically the world's first formal dream lab. And their goal? Well, it was pretty audacious. They wanted to scientifically test whether extrasensory perception, ESP, could actually happen during dreams. And they were really rigorous about their method. Here's how it worked. In one room, you'd have an agent focusing on a target image, maybe a famous painting, that was sealed in an envelope. Then, in a separate, locked room, you'd have the test subject, asleep and hooked up to monitors. The second they hit REM sleep, the deep dreaming state, the researchers would wake them up and just ask, "What were you just dreaming about?" And get this, in one of their very first experiments, they had the famous medium Eileen Garrett as the subject. After they woke her up, she described this dream about a chariot race with black and white horses, a lot like the one in the novel Ben-Hur. Well, the next day, when they finally unsealed that envelope, what was the target image? A movie still from the film adaptation of, yep, you guessed it, Ben-Hur, a total direct hit. And this number right here, 65%, this is exactly why they were so focused on dreams. See, their analysis of all these spontaneous psychic reports showed this staggering pattern. 65% of all of these events, we're talking premonitions, telepathy, the whole shebang, they happened while people were dreaming. They realized that if this stuff was real, the dream state was absolutely the best place to go looking for it. And from there, the results just kept getting weirder. One of the lab's own research associates had a dream where she saw a coworker reading a newspaper. On the front page, a photo of a collapsed building. She felt it was so important that she actually told the monitor to mark her dream down as precognitive. Well, 2 weeks later, the Broadway Central Hotel in New York City collapsed. And the photo on the front of the Daily News was, you can see where this is going, nearly identical to the one in her dream. So you can imagine, this kind of research was really shaking up the scientific world. And you know who gets very interested when the basic rules of reality seem to be bending? Yep, the government. And this is where our story takes a major turn, away from a public research lab in Brooklyn and into the secret corridors of the CIA. The work at Maimonides was so compelling that by 1973, the National Institute of Mental Health actually gave them a massive federal grant for parapsychology research. I mean, that's a huge stamp of official interest, right? Fast forward another decade, and that interest had evolved into the CIA's own internal analysis of something they called the Gateway Process. So what on earth was the Gateway experience? According to the CIA's own declassified report, it was a training system, one designed to alter your consciousness so profoundly that a person could, and I'm quoting directly here, escape even the restrictions of time and space. Yeah, the goal was to access intuitive knowledge from literally anywhere in the universe. Okay, I know, this sounds like something straight out of a Marvel movie, right? But the crazy thing is, the CIA report laid out a surprisingly detailed theory based on actual biomedical engineering and physics. So, how in the world did they think this was even possible? Well, the key was a technology called HemiSync. It's all about sound. Basically, you place slightly different frequencies into each ear. Your brain hears this, and trying to make sense of it, it creates a third phantom frequency, what's known as a binaural beat. And this beat can gently guide the left and right sides of your brain to synchronize their brainwaves, creating this state of incredible focus and coherence. And this really breaks down what they were trying to do. Think about your normal brain state right now. Your brainwaves are probably pretty chaotic, kind of all over the place. You're locked into what your physical senses are telling you. But in the hemisync state, the idea is that your brain becomes super coherent, and your consciousness is, well, theoretically, freed from your body, able to move beyond the normal limits of time and space. So here's the core theory. Think of your brain like a tuning fork. First, HemiSync gets it humming at a perfectly coherent frequency. Then, the system can start to raise that frequency. The idea was that as your brain's vibration rises, it can start to resonate with more and more subtle energy levels out there in the universe. It's kind of like tuning a radio. You just start picking up new information from different stations. But it gets even crazier. One of the key scientists behind this theory, a biomedical engineer named Itzhak Bentov, had this absolutely mind-bending idea. He found that when your body is at a deep state of relaxation, it creates this tiny micromotion that resonates perfectly with the Earth's own electromagnetic field. This basically turns your entire body into an antenna, using the planet itself as a carrier wave for telepathic signals that could, in theory, travel the globe almost instantly. So, okay, let's take a step back. What does all of this add up to? I mean, if these theories are even partially correct, it completely flips our understanding of consciousness and reality on its head. In fact, it might totally reframe what's actually happening every single time we close our eyes to go to sleep. And this might be one of the most shocking conclusions from the entire Gateway report. After analyzing the whole process, the researchers basically said that this state they were trying to induce with all this fancy technology, it's something that already happens to us naturally. They concluded that most people, maybe even all people, go into an out-of-body state every single night during REM sleep. Think about that. Our dreams might not just be something happening inside our heads. And make no mistake, this was not just some weird American obsession. Declassified files show the CIA was keeping a very close eye on the Soviets, who were apparently experimenting with thought transmission to submarines. They sent researchers to China to investigate reports of psychic children, and they discovered the Chinese were training their astronauts in Qigong to develop exceptional human functions, basically for communication in space. It was, for all intents and purposes, a global psychic arms race. But maybe the most profound statement in the entire CIA document is this one right here. After all their deep dives into quantum physics, brainwaves, and holograms, they came to a startling conclusion. The model of the universe they were exploring was, in their words, identical in its essential aspects to the one known by mystics and philosophers in the ancient world. They realized modern science wasn't inventing something new. It was just rediscovering ancient wisdom. So we've gone from terrifying premonitions and scientific dream labs all the way to secret government programs exploring the very nature of reality itself. It's pretty clear the study of dreams has led to some truly incredible places. And it all suggests that every single night when you go to sleep, you might be tapping into something far, far bigger than yourself. So the real question is, the next time you dream, what are you going to find?